Hi guys, welcome to the new 5Cs. It's Friday 24th November 2023 and 3 weeks ago I received a call on Thursday from Outram Community Hospital telling me that my father was going to get discharged the next day. Earlier on, my father was also informed that he would be going home the next day. To reconfirm, on the very next day on Friday, I received another call from the hospital at exactly 11:09 telling me that my father was going to be discharged, and if I didn't want to wait, all the documents could be ready and the medicines collected if I went down after 2 p.m. So we were told a total of 3 times that he would be going home on that Friday. I gave them plenty of allowance and arrived at the hospital at 5 p.m. Guess what? The staff was not even aware that my father was going to be discharged. None of the documents was ready, and we were told that we had to wait for 3 hours or more for them to process everything. The staff then advised us to let my father stay for one more night. Obviously, we are not keen on that after being told 3 times that he'll be going home on that day. It's like arriving at a hotel that has confirmed your booking 3 times, and yet they tell you to come back the next day because they are full. But the part that really blew me away was this young lady doctor who told us that we are not saving any money by going back that evening. Is it about the money? She didn't seem aware that we were disappointed. Nobody who can be discharged wants to stay a minute more than necessary. That's common sense. As a top student from her cohort, trained and qualified by one of the best universities in the world, this young lady is clueless about how normal human beings would feel under such circumstances. Okay, this is not a complaint. I don't want anyone to lose a job or get reprimanded. It's just an observation which reveals that something is sorely missing in our so-called world-class education that is constantly and relentlessly in pursuit of grades, results, rankings, and KPIs. At the end of the day, we forget that we are human beings. Next, a final closure on the Han Face saga. Sadly, Miss Han was deported and would never be allowed into Singapore again. Her Douyin account has not been updated. Now in Guangzhou, she merely posted a message telling people not to vilify her. She thanked her supporters and claimed that the rest of us don't know the whole story. Well, unrepentant as expected. From one unrepentant character, we moved to another unrepentant character, Amos Yee. As most of you would know, Amos obtained political asylum in the US and was incarcerated for grooming and possession of child pornography in 2021. He was originally sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he was released on parole on the 7th of October this year. Now, instead of learning from his lesson or lying low, Amos Yee publicly declared that he would continue to prey on underage girls if they found them attractive. He was arrested just 1 month after his release and held at a maximum security prison. Amos Yee is a very intelligent man. I'll call him an oxymoron. Next, former presidential candidate Mr. Tan Kin Lian. Now, to some people, he's a bumbling fool, but I have to say that his heart is in the right place, and I appreciate his honesty. But sometimes he's so honest that he incriminates himself. Now, every now and then, he would cross the road without waiting for the lights to change, but we don't go on social media to publicize it. Mr. Tan does just that. He is also one of those born-again Chinese, whose Chinese is good enough to understand government propaganda, but not good enough to analyze and criticize. It's not just financially, but emotionally invested in Forest City and Country Garden, Bi Gui Yuan. Of course, someone of Mr. Tan's financial strength can afford to lose it all, but I can't resist putting in my 2 cents worth. Here's what happened. In the wake of that, I was flooded by private messages from friends asking me what happened. I need to clarify on a platform not controlled by Mr. Tan that I have not smeared him. Certainly not. I merely said that the numbers given by companies like Country Garden are as reliable as China's GDP. Now, if that's a smear, then the late Premier Li Keqiang would have been guilty of it. We are yet to welcome our new GST, and the squeeze has already started. People who rent out their flats don't allow work from home. Condo management fees have doubled. The other day when I was in JB, I overheard a group of young Malaysians debating the pros and cons of staying in Singapore instead of crossing the Causeway daily. The root of the problem lies in the policy, but the damage is greatly magnified as we move down the food chain. We now have a predatory culture. Everyone wants a wide margin of safety. Remember that classic army story? The OC wants the PCs to fall in their platoons at 0800. The PCs tell the sergeants to fall in at 0700. The sergeants tell the section commanders to fall in at 0600. The setcoms tell the poor private soldier to fall in at 0500. That's how a small increase in GST can be greatly magnified when it reaches consumers who have no one to squeeze. Interestingly, when I share such concerns on social media, there would always be folks who boast about how they have moved to the top of the food chain and are thus able to squeeze more than they are squeezed. Now, these folks assume that their earning power will remain throughout life. Now, make no mistake, as we age, we will one day lose our earning power and be in no position to squeeze anyone. As long as everyone takes a self-centered approach as the solution to the problem and nobody sees the root of the problem, it is unlikely that life for the average mediocre Singaporean like me is going to get easier. That's all I have for you today. Enjoy your weekend.